take the devil into. Yeah. Platinum rings, strictly kings, LY. Just the volume, turn up the sound. You can believe it, listening now. I'm Mr. God, teacher and friend. Let the world know we back again. The sun never set on a nation of gods. The morning stars, all I saw. Align with his mind and reclaim your power. Let that be the shock of the hour.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Cheryl, and welcome to this evening's live broadcast of the 19th Element. We will begin tonight's presentation with Dr. Alim Muhammad. Dr. Alim, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Cheryl. How are you?
Doing well, sir. And yourself?
And greetings to our audience and friends that are tuned in on Zoom and Facebook, and they're checking in here on YouTube. So welcome once again. This is the 19th Element. It's always above the brow, never below the belt. We deal with geopolitical issues, war and peace issues, strategic issues, and of course, what's going on in the world today has everybody's attention. This so-called ceasefire in the Middle East. But I think it's a ceaseless liar who's talking about a ceasefire. So when a ceaseless liar says there's a ceasefire, you better not believe him. And so our theme remains the same after all these weeks: a world at war, a world gone crazy, a world gone broke, a world gone for broke. And we see since last week, the world has really gone for broke. And it affects everybody, because now what has seemed to have been a limited regional crisis involving Israel and Iran and the United States and allies now has spilled over and affects the entire world. And it affects you. Every time you go to the gas station, you know that has something to do with what's going on over in the Middle East, or in West Asia, as it is more properly called. So, And so let's go to our images. We're going to be all over the place tonight. It's going to be a little bit confusing. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on or what to expect next. So we just take a look at what is, what's being reported, and make commentary on it and try to make sense out of it, even though a lot of it is crazy, which means it will ultimately not make any sense at all. We pointed out from the Quran that people who practice riba cannot stand on the day of resurrection except as those driven insane by Satan. So I think that's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing the oppressor nations, the exploitating nations, those nations in the past who have been aggressive, the nations who have practiced slavery, practiced neocolonialism, colonialism, imperialism, all of those terrible political and economic evils that have plagued the world, especially in the last 5 centuries. So now that's what we're witnessing right now. We're witnessing the bill coming due for 500 years of oppression and slavery. And so now the bill is coming due. And so we're taking a look at it. And what we're looking at could end up just like this, in a nuclear holocaust, in a lake of fire. We hope it doesn't end up like that, but it certainly well could end up like that, given the fact that we are dealing with lunatics in high power. So this is the 19th element, and we always stay above the brow because that is your 19th element. The part of you that is above your brow is your 19th element. It's the best part of you. And so we try to deal with that, the best part of you, the reasoning part, the intelligent part, the part that has understanding, and the part that is actually in touch with reality. And the reality right at the moment is that our survival is threatened. And so we need to use all of our brain power that we can muster to see whether or not we can come up with a plan of survival. And of course, the 19th element is above the brow, and we try to keep our dialogue and our commentary never below the belt. So it's not about gossip. It's not about personalities. It's not about any of those lower base things. It's about the higher things, the things that are important, the things that make life possible, the things that make survival possible. So that's the 19th element. Next image, please. So everybody has their eyes on the Artemis voyage that is circling the moon. I guess they're on their way back from the moon. I guess they're okay. They found out the toilet didn't work. So how long? They're going to be in space for 10 days holding, I think they're peeing in plastic bags. Same kind of trouble they had on the aircraft carrier where the toilets didn't work. They had to pull out of the battle field because the toilets didn't work. Of course, some people say it was sabotage, but I don't think these astronauts would have sabotaged their own toilet 250,000 miles away from home. That's a long, long way to have to hold it. So this moon mission is named after Artemis. Artemis, of course, the daughter of Zeus. This is all based on Greek mythology. Artemis the hunter. She was a hunter. You saw the Hunger Games? Yeah, see, that was based on Artemis, that girl that was the bow and arrow girl. And that's what's in this symbol. See her bow? See that green arc? That's the bow of Artemis, the hunter. And then there's the arrow point, pointing straight up. And then there's the pathway to the moon. And so there's a lot of symbolism in it. And we wonder why they are making this mission. Why circle around the moon? What is that all for? Why don't you land? Just making a figure 8 around the moon and back doesn't seem to make much sense. Next image, please. The Chinese are landing on the moon. Now, here's the big deal. On the re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, because of the great velocity, they're moving at 25,000 miles an hour, coming back to Earth. So when they hit the Earth's atmosphere, it heats up due to friction. And it heats up to almost 1,000,000 degrees. So there's a heat shield on the capsule that's supposed to protect the crew. But the problem is, even before they took off, they knew it was cracked. It has a crack in it. And so some people are wondering whether or not that's going to prove to be a fatal flaw. So I guess we'll find out in the next day or two. Next image, please. Now, this is a moon shot. They took a picture of the moon. I'm not sure if this is the backside of the moon or what part of the moon it is. But the remarkable thing that they reported back was it's brown. We think of the silvery moon. All of the pictures that we've seen in the past of the moon seem to be gray and almost featureless, almost colorless. But now these astronauts are saying, no, the moon gets browner and browner the closer we look. And that makes sense when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us the origin of the moon. It's a break-off part of the Earth. So the Earth is brown. Brown dirt on the Earth. What color is the Earth? It's brown. So if the moon is the dead part of the Earth that got blasted off 66 trillion years ago, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I have to believe him because the other astronauts that actually did land on the moon, they said one of the strange things about being on the moon was they could still smell gunpowder. They could smell gunpowder, like there had been a big explosion. But anyhow, this sort of shows that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was correct. The moon is brown, just like the Earth is brown. Next image, please. And here's the astronauts crammed into some little space capsule. You see where they have to spend 10 days together in this little cramped space. Now, if you compare this to the Chinese space capsule, I mean, this looks primitive. I mean, really, this is primitive. I don't have a picture of the Chinese space capsule, but if you saw it, you would see the Chinese have it down pat. It's very spacious and clean. And you don't have wires all over the place. This looks like a cluttered closet that needs to be cleaned out. Next image, please. But there they are. Got a black astronaut in there. He was recommended to be an astronaut by John McCain. He used to be an aide to Senator John McCain. That's kind of a brother he is. Now, of course, everybody's focus is on what's taking place in West Asia, as they call it, the Middle East. And of course, what's going on is due to what Bibi Netanyahu told Donald Trump. The story is coming out that everything that Trump is doing is contrary to what his own generals are telling him, what his own intelligence people are telling him. He's going solely by what Bibi Netanyahu whispered in his ear, that all we have to do to take out Iran, because that's really the agenda. America doesn't have any beef with Iran, but Israel does, because Israel has a project they call the Greater Israel Project. And the Greater Israel Project requires them to conquer all the other nations that are her neighbors. So Egypt has to be conquered. Jordan has to be conquered. Lebanon has to be conquered. Iraq has to be conquered. All of the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia has to be conquered. And ultimately, of course, Iran has to be conquered. And guess who has to do the dirty work? The American soldiers, the American military. It's almost as though they're the hired guns of Israel, even though America is paying Israel. You know, it's just crazy. People say, is this the dog wagging the tail or the tag wagging the dog? Well, my answer to that is it's just one dog. It's just one tail. And they're all connected. So it doesn't really make any difference. When the tail is wagging, the dog is shaking. And when the dog is shaking, the tail is wagging. And so it's all one and the same thing. I call them Gog and Magog. Who else would be Gog and Magog if it's not Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump, even though he says he's Jesus? Next image, please. Now, one thing that we should always keep in mind, and people seem to forget, the definition of Trumpism. See, look it up in a dictionary, not one of these modern dictionaries, but get an old dictionary before, this kind of censorship took place in the language. And you'll see that Trumpism has a very definite meaning. A Trumpism is a falsehood, uttered or acted to deceive. And of course, that's what Donald Trump is known for, an inveterate liar, a pathological liar. When does he ever tell the truth? Never. And of course, he's a TV actor. And so he can act out what seems to be the truth, but of course it's a lie. So a Trumpism is a falsehood uttered or acted to deceive, a lie. Anything which deceives as a glittering advertisement for damaged goods is a Trumpism, a falsehood, falseness, falsity, falsification, deception, untruth, guile, misrepresentation, mendacity, fabrication, prevarication, fibbing. So that's the characteristic of a Trumpism. So anytime that you listen to or hear anything coming from Donald Trump, you're listening to a Trumpism, which is to say you're listening to a lie. Next image, please. He never tells the truth. Now, this is what he came out with on Easter Sunday, just like he's the Easter Caesar bunny. He pretends like he's the king of the world, but he came out on Easter Sunday, said, I'm a king like Jesus. I'm a king like Jesus. Donald Trump says that. Isn't that something? Well, okay, all right. So you want to be Jesus? You want to save the world, Donald Trump? Okay, why don't you die like Jesus? Jesus died to save the world. So I think that would be a good idea. Don't you think that would be a good idea for Donald Trump to die? And wouldn't that save the world? I think everybody would agree. Donald Trump, if you would only die like Jesus, or you don't have to get on a cross either, just die, then that would be saving the world. So yeah, okay, I go along with that. Be like Jesus then. Go ahead and die. Next image, please. And then we'll wait for you to come back. So evidently, we're not dealing with rational human beings. We're not dealing with people who have much of an intellect to work with. So these are the three stooges of the Trump administration. So if you're wondering who's doing all of the bungling, who's doing all of the fumbling, who's making all of the mistakes, who's giving all of the bad advice, You know, uh, you're looking at the top three, the top three. You know, they don't know up from down. They have no experience in diplomacy, in warfare, or anything else, or in statescraft. They actually resemble a bunch of cartoon characters. And that's why I call them the Three Stooges, because if they weren't so tragic, they'd be funny. Next image, please. But they're not funny, they're tragic. Now, of course, part of what is taking place in the Strait of Hormuz is affecting the price of oil all over the world, the price of fuel, the price of electricity, the price of energy. It all has to do with what flows through the Straits of Hormuz. And so, what Donald Trump actually does a lot of times is he makes these statements on social media to influence the markets. And some of his buddies, I mean, do insider trading on energy stocks and bonds, and they make a whole lot of money, whether the price goes up or whether the price goes down. And so he just manipulates the market with his social media posts. And on this particular day, he caused the price to drop. And then people made money on the drop. And then when it rises again, he announces, he announced the ceasefire. And so that means, oh, okay. So then the pressure on the oil market is going to be lifted. And so the price drops. And then when they find out that the ceasefire didn't hold, then the price goes back up. And so this yo-yoing up and down of the oil market makes a lot of money for the people who have the inside positions. Next image, please, which is not you and me. No, we're on the yo-yo. We're at the end of the yo-yo, being jerked up and down. Now, France is striking out a little bit independently compared to the other European countries. Look at this. France has taken out all of its gold reserves from the Federal Reserve System in New York. This harkens back to when Charles de Gaulle was president of France. He sent a warship to New York Harbor and demanded that America give France its gold back. And that was actually what, in 1971, I believe, maybe 72. And that's actually what closed the gold window and led to the creation of the petrodollar system, because America could not meet the demand that nations were making for the return of their gold. Most of the nations in Europe put their gold in America for safekeeping during World War II, and America never gave it back. Same in Asia, China, Korea, all those Asian countries. They put all of their gold in American vaults during World War II for safekeeping. Then after the war was over, America refused to give the gold back. And so now France, just recently, is taking $13 billion of their gold out of the Federal Reserve vaults. And of course, if you've been keeping your eye on the price of gold and silver and other precious metals, you see that the price is going higher, which means that the value of the dollar is going lower. It doesn't mean that gold is more valuable than it used to be. It won't buy any more than it used to be. It just means that the dollar will buy less than it used to be. So it takes more dollars to buy the same amount of gold or silver because they maintain their value. Next image, please. Well, the dollar is crashing. So the bottom line, the takeaway point, on this 8th day of April, after all has been said and done, with this probably 6 weeks of war, and now the announcement of a ceasefire, what is the bottom line conclusion? That Iran is in control. Iran is in control because Donald Trump had to agree to Iran's 10-point peace plan. And we'll see what the details of that 10-point peace plan was. Iran rejected Donald Trump's 15-point plan. I think it was a 15-point plan. But Donald Trump had to accept Iran's 10-point plan. And so that means that Iran is in control. Because if you can control the Straits of Hormuz, and by extension, the Bab el-Mandab, which is the Red Sea outlet, then you're controlling 22% of the world's energy. And it affects the entire world. And since America cannot force Iran to do anything, and the American Navy had to retreat from the Straits of Hormuz, and 2 aircraft carriers have been damaged, and probably a U.S. destroyer ship has been sunk. And we heard over the weekend, 12 aircraft shot down? You see, so who's in control? Is America in control? Is Israel in control? No, Iran is in control. And what that means is that this is the reemergence of the Persian Empire. Donald Trump said that he was going to bomb Iran back to the Stone Age. And so I think it was the Iranian foreign minister that showed him a map of what Iran looked like in the Stone Age. And that was the height of the Persian Empire, where the Persian Empire stretched as far as Egypt. So you want to bomb them back to the Stone Age? Hey, they would enjoy that, because that would be the reconstitution of their ancient empire. So Iran is in control. And the reason why the price at the gas pump is going up is because of Iran. The reason why the dollar has been knocked out as the international reserve currency is because of Iran. The reason why Donald Trump had to sign a deal is because of Iran. They're in control. Next image, please. Iran plans communication blackout in Israel. Yes, this was a couple of days ago. They hit the electrical grid. They put down the internet. They put down the cell phone towers, the telecom company in Israel. So they don't have any cell phones. There used to be, the reason why you couldn't get information out of Israel was because of censorship. Now you can't get information out of Israel because they're under a blackout. Tel Aviv is in the dark. There's no more power. They hit the power stations. So Israel's in the dark. Could you imagine being in an underground bunker with no electricity, no lights, no air conditioning? That's what's going on in Israel now. They're in the dark. Next image, please. Israel strikes secret U.S. base during high-level army meet. Yes, there was a meeting taking place. And in this meeting, there were 200 U.S. commanders. There were Israeli commanders and Ukrainian commanders that were sent there from Ukraine to help with defense against Iran's drones. And so they were meeting in a secret location that wasn't so secret. The Iranian intelligence is excellent, and they were all killed. I think 200 were killed in one strike. Next image, please. Commanders, not just ordinary soldiers, commanders. Breaking: Iran will attack on the U.S. tonight. Now, this is related to another headline that talks about the cyber attacks that are originated from Iran's cyber attack force, and they're hacking the U.S. energy grid. So just as Donald Trump was threatening to put Iran back into the Stone Age, hey, Iran has the ability to put America in the dark, back into the Stone Age, where your electrical grid does not work. You see, so it's tit for tat. So many people are saying, and this is the 8th day of April, because of the breakdown of the ceasefire in less than 24 hours, some people are saying that Iran is going to attack America tonight. I'm talking about tonight, the 8th of April, 2026. And if they take down the energy grid, the water purification plants, the power plants in America, you see, then you'll see that the war is at your doorstep and in your house, and it's affecting you. Next image, please. So these three stooges have really done you in. Yeah, here it is. Iran kills 200 U.S. commanders in a precision strike on a UAE base. See, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain. See, these were all little countries set up by Britain 100 years ago. So all of these emirs and kings and whatnot in these little countries, in Jordan, even in Saudi Arabia, these are all British puppets. They were set up by the British 100 years ago through indirect rule over the populations of this Middle East. It's part of the British plan to conquer Islam. And so even though they're dressed up like Muslims and they pretend to be Muslims, they're really puppets of the British and the Americans. And so the UAE, along with Saudi Arabia, they say that we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder with America and fight Iran And so they've been attacking Iran from the UAE. And this is where these military commanders were hiding out in a secret meeting, and all of them got killed. Next image, please. So you wonder why Donald Trump was seeking a ceasefire? When you lose 200 commanders, hey, that'll make you seek a ceasefire. So now Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi said in a statement that Iran has agreed to Pakistan's proposal for a ceasefire. See, it's not a ceasefire, it's a proposal for a ceasefire. And that if attacks against Iran are halted, Iran will also cease their defensive operation for a period of 2 weeks. And safe passage through the Straits of Hormuz will be possible via coordinating with Iran's armed forces. You see, so that's a tentative agreement. Pakistan put a proposed ceasefire, and Iran said, yes, we agreed to your proposed ceasefire. And if it holds, here's what we'll do. Here's our part. But it's only a proposed ceasefire. That's not a ceasefire. That's a Trumpism. Next image, please. Which is to say it's a lie. It's a deception. Iran's National Security Council said in its statement that the upcoming negotiations with the United States were under the supervision and with the approval of the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. The council called for all political factions and Iranians to support the talks. The statement warns that if negotiations fail, Iran won't hesitate to start fighting again. Next image, please. You see, so it's a tentative proposed ceasefire. It's not a ceasefire like Donald Trump said. He lied again. So here's what it's really all about. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how not to admit that he got killed, that he got beat, that America lost the war, that Israel was defeated. And this is just what they have to accept. Accept your defeat or be annihilated. So now since they can't, in their pride, they cannot admit that they lost, I guess they have to be annihilated. Next image, please. And I guess that's both of them, Gog and Magog. So this is Sheikh Imran Hussein, and he's an expert on Islamic eschatology, study of the end times. And he says this is the great war, the Malhama, the war of Armageddon, if you will, the war of good against evil. So he's basically identifying as Iran as in a war against Gog and Magog. And if you ask me who's Gog and Magog, America and Israel. And personally, who is it? Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. Now, which one is Gog and which one is Magog? Does it really make a difference? Next image, please. I don't think it makes a difference. So this is a war of good against evil. God against the devil. Christ against the Antichrist. Iran says it'll attack U.S. tech firms from today. And of course, they've done that. They've attacked Amazon, Oracle. They're threatening to attack all of those big tech firms that Donald Trump had at the White House on the day he got inaugurated. And a lot of them have been supplying Israel with targeting data. When they murdered those 160 schoolgirls, they bombing hospitals and clinics and universities in Iran, all kinds of civilian infrastructure, that bridge that they bombed the other day. Hey, who supplies them with that information, that targeting data? These big tech firms, these Silicon Valley billionaires. They're over there on Israel's side trying to conquer that part of the world. And so Iran is targeting those who are participating, in the attacks against them. Now, I wonder if they're going to hit Silicon Valley. Next image, please. Is Silicon Valley safe from Iran? So this is Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran. If attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operation. Now, what's the most important word in that sentence? If attacks against Iran are halted. Well, as we can see, 24 hours later, they haven't halted. Israel's attacking Iran. America's attacking Iran. They haven't halted. So to talk about a ceasefire is a Trumpism, is a lie. There's no ceasefire. Next image, please. And they never cease to lie. Here it is. Iran-linked hackers are sabotaging U.S. energy and water infrastructure. See, they're attacking the infrastructure in Iran. Well, what do you think Iran is doing in retaliation? You think they're leaving American infrastructure untouched? You think you will be untouched by this? No, you're going to be touched. You're going to turn on your tap and there's no water flowing. You're going to hit the light switch and the lights won't come on. This is real war. And if they know that they're in a war against Gog and Magog, hey, they're going to hit Gog or Magog where it hurts, in the energy grid. You're trying to turn us back to the Stone Age. What age would you be in if we turned off your grid and your power grid in America? And you didn't have any running water. You would be back in the Stone Age. Next image, please. How would you like to be in the Stone Age? So now here's the 10-point plan that Donald Trump, the liar that he is, says that he agreed to. A commitment to non-aggression. Well, how could you imagine that America, after 250 years of nothing but aggression against other nations, how could you believe that America is going to be non-aggressive all of a sudden? Israel at war with all of her neighbors since her founding in 1948. Now, all of a sudden, she's going to become non-aggressive? Point number 2, Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. Well, they've already had control over the Strait of Hormuz. That's why they're charging $1 per barrel. So they're making hundreds of millions of dollars every day. You know, I mean, a lot of those tankers, they got 1 million barrels or 2 million barrels on board. Hey, well, to transit the Strait of Hormuz, hey, you got to pay up. You got to pay a fee in Chinese money or cryptocurrency. So I understand there's 1,600 ships that are trying to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. So you do the math, $2 million times 1,600. How much money is that? You see? So Iran's getting paid. Acceptance of Iran's uranium enrichment. See, every nation has the right to enrich uranium, and they have a right to make a weapon if they want to. But Iran says we're not trying to make weapons. We just need nuclear power like any other nation for civilian use to power our cities and our factories and our industries. Lifting all primary sanctions, lifting all secondary sanctions. Do you know that Iran has been under sanctions since 1979? And there's thousands of and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of sanctions and secondary sanctions under that, trying to strangle Iran for 47 years. So all of that got to be lifted so that Iran can engage in normal trade practices with other nations without limitations. Terminations of all Board of Governors resolutions. Termination of all UN Security Council resolutions condemning Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism. Who's the biggest state sponsor of terrorism if it's not Israel and the United States? Paying compensation to Iran. Yeah, how much is owed to Iran that you deprived her of over all these years? You owe Iran trillions of dollars. So now pay up, Mr. Trump. Withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the region. Do you know what that means? Mr. Trump has agreed to withdraw all U.S. military forces from the region. Could that include Israel? Because isn't Israel just an unsinkable battleship of the U.S. military in the Middle East? So they all have to withdraw. So America has been driven out of the Middle East, in other words, in plain English. She's been driven out, just like we drove them out before. When they had tried to come in with the Crusades in the Middle Age, Saladin had to drive them out. We've been driving them out for the last 6,000 years, every time they try to come back into the Holy Land. So now Iran has driven them out for the last time. All U.S. combat forces. They had 17 military bases. All of them have been destroyed. There's no place for U.S. troops to go to bed at night. Nowhere to land their planes and helicopters. No landing fields to take off from. They've been run out. Cessation of war on all fronts, including in Lebanon. You see, so those are the 10 points that Donald Trump says he agreed to, although he's a liar. Next image, please. And when has America ever kept any agreement that she's made with any country, with any people? How about our 40 acres and a mule agreement? So basically, you can expect America and Israel to violate the ceasefire before the ink is dry on it. So Iran plans to starve Israel? Yes. because when you put a blockade and no ships can reach Israel, and you're blowing up the desalination plants, you're blowing up the fertilizer plants, the chemical industries, you're destroying all of the infrastructure, the highways, the irrigation system. Yes, you're putting Israel into a starvation situation where they can no longer produce food, where food can no longer be imported into Israel. And that's why the people are leaving. Probably 1/3 of Israel's population has already fled the country, and more are trying to get out, except that they destroyed Ben Gurion Airport. So there's only one flight per hour out of Ben Gurion Airport and only 50 passengers allowed on each flight. So they're trying to escape through Egypt. It's like a reverse exodus. So they're starving, not just in the dark, not just no electricity, no food, no water. How can they stay there? Next image, please. Israel's dependent upon desalination, and the Iranians just took out their desalination plant. So Israel has also agreed to the ceasefire and will suspend its strikes on Iran for 2 weeks, a White House official said. Well, now that's a big test. Who in the White House has control over Israel? Who in the White House is speaking for Israel? Israel has also agreed. Says who? Next image, please. So has Israel agreed? So now here's the Pakistani prime minister. He's taking the bows, saying that he negotiated this agreement. This the Pakistani proposal that has been put forth. And look at his name, Shahbaz Sharif. So he's got that original name, Shahbaz. Next image, please. So Pakistan, of course, has the Islamic bomb. They are a nuclear power. And some people say that they have a secret deal with Saudi Arabia, that if Saudi Arabia ever gets in trouble, the Pakistanis are going to give them 5 or 6 nuclear bombs. Now, the chief of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, says the Israeli military is collapsing. He said, I'm putting up 10 red flags. We are about ready to collapse. All of these bold invasions of Lebanon and all the rest of it that they're trying to do to suit Netanyahu, we're on the verge of collapse. So you see, they might accept a ceasefire because they can't fight anymore. Especially in Lebanon, Hezbollah is destroying them. Next image, please. Reports show that Hezbollah has just destroyed over 100 tanks, Merkaba tanks in southern Lebanon, killed hundreds of Israeli troops. Israeli blackout. Iran hits Israeli telecom. No phone calls, no internet. They're in the dark. Next image, please. So now if you think there's a difference between America and Israel, think again. America has killed 38 million people in this so-called war on terror at the behest of Israel. And almost all of those people that they killed were Muslims. So this is the war against Islam. That's why they can't countenance the Islamic Republic of Iran, because it is Islamic. Next image, please. And these are pure devils. So now if it gets bad enough, they have what they call the Samson option. Like Samson in the Bible, he was made blind and led into the temple by a little boy. Then he used all his strength to bring down the temple, destroying himself and destroying the pillars of the temple. So that's what Israel says. We have over 300 nuclear bombs, and we have some of them planted all over the world. And if we get our backs up against the wall, then we're going to exercise the Samson option, and we're just going to destroy the entire world. That's what Trump said. He was going to destroy an entire civilization. Well, the Israelis have been saying that since forever. If we can't get our way, hey, we're going to destroy everything and everybody. Next image, please. So who is Samson today? Trump claims that he's the strongest man on earth today. Like Samson was supposed to be the strongest man on earth. Well, I guess Trump is Samson then. And maybe Samson, Trump, is going to carry out the Samson option. Maybe he's going to nuke Iran if he can't get it any other way. He says all he wants to do is take the oil. Next image, please. Regime change. He says he's negotiating with somebody. You see, and so like any psychopath, he needs to be on a psychiatrist's couch. The Iranians you've been talking to for 2 days, are they in the room with us now? Because obviously Mr. Trump is hallucinating. He's hallucinating negotiations. He's hallucinating that he has a deal with Iran. He's hallucinating that there's a ceasefire. There's no ceasefire. That's an hallucination by a madman. Next image, please. And so the Marines and the other military branches of government, they're rebelling. Why else would he have fired 12 generals? Because they refused his orders. That's why. We're not going to do what you say, crazy man. Next image, please. So the Marines are turning on him. The Navy admirals are turning on him. They're either resigning or just refusing to carry out his orders, clogging up the toilets on the aircraft carrier. They don't want to do what this man is saying. It's self-destructive. They don't want to be a part of this. He's tearing up everything. Next image, please. Destroying the political system, destroying the economic system. With a threat to wipe out Iran's civilization, Trump's rhetoric goes beyond bluster. Yeah, into lunacy. He's berserk. He's absolutely insane. This is a madman. Like the ancients used to say, whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad. You remember the old king of Babylon? He was driven mad, eating grass like a cow. Well, that's Donald Trump, driven mad. You're looking at a madman, a lunatic, a maniac, a psychopath. The worst example of humanity that you could ever see, unless you're talking about Bibi Netanyahu. Next image, please. You're looking at the worst human being on planet Earth. So now, I don't think I'll read this. This is Trump's statement about the ceasefire. And of course, if you read the language very carefully, you can tell that Trump didn't write this. You can tell from the language, from the style of what's written here, is not bombastic like Trump is known for. It's not in all capital letters like Trump is known for. And the syntax and the grammar is not on an elementary school level. This was actually written by an adult, whoever wrote this, on behalf of Trump. So that lets you know that Trump didn't write it, which means Trump is not in control. Somebody else is in control. When somebody else announced a 2-week ceasefire, probably Trump didn't know anything about it or was opposed to it. But somebody else stepped in and wrote for him and put it up on his social media account and said, yeah, we agreed to a ceasefire. But Trump didn't write that. I would bet my last dollar that Trump did not write that. Somebody else wrote it for him, which means he is out of the loop. He's out of the decision-making loop. Somebody else is making the decisions. Next image, please. Somebody else that got better sense than Trump. Trump backs down, finding an off-ramp after a day of apocalyptic threats. He didn't find the off-ramp. Somebody else gave him the off-ramp. Next image, please. See, Allah will not be mocked. God will not be mocked. He made a post on Easter Sunday talking about praise be to Allah. Well, all praise is due to Allah, but not coming from a lying devil like you. No, you're making mockery. I even got the impression that you were trying to imply to Iran that you're the God, that you're Allah, and you're praising yourself. So maybe the real Allah gonna cut you down to size, or already has. Next image, please. Now here's Donald Trump, claiming that false news out of Nigeria said that the ceasefire wasn't real. Well, we find it's not real, whether it came out of Nigeria or not. I'm sure Nigeria knows that Donald Trump is a liar. In Ghana, they know he's a liar. In Kenya, they know he's a liar. The whole world knows Donald Trump is a liar. Whatever he said was a ceasefire, they know it's a liar. It's a Trumpism. It's a falsehood. It's not true. It's not to be believed. So he's calling it fake news when somebody tells the truth on him. Next image, please. Fake news from Nigeria. Now, I love this picture here. See, when they said that the pilot had to be rescued and they sent the Black Hawk helicopters in there, and those big C-130 planes and the F-35 and the F-15. Well, this is the guy that shot down one of those helicopters, him and his daughter. They had a video, and the little girl, she was saying, shoot him, daddy, shoot him, daddy. And he had his gun, you see him, he armed to the teeth. Now, this is just the average Iranian. This is just the average Iranian living out in the country, you know. He ran, we heard the helicopter over his house. Man, all of the villagers came running out their house with their shotguns and pistols. And they say he was the one that shot down the Black Hawk helicopter. His daughter said, shoot him, daddy, shoot him. Next image, please. I wish I'd have been there to see that. See, so this is really what it's all about. See, everything that Donald Trump and America is doing, the Three Stooges are doing, everything that they say, everything that Israel does, Bibi Netanyahu does, is in violation of the Geneva Conventions. And so this is the first protocol, just so that you can clearly see acts or threats of violence, the primary purpose of which is to spread terror among the civilian population, are prohibited. And so, in other words, everything that Donald Trump and America has been doing, everything that Israel and Bibi Netanyahu has been doing, these are all war crimes. These are punishable war crimes. And at the end of this conflict, if justice prevails, they will be before war tribunals facing charges of committing war crimes against civilian populations. Now, they kind of normalize it. We kind of think it's okay for Israel to bomb Lebanon and other countries anytime they want to. No, those are crimes, and they have to be punished. Next image, please. And so Iran is doing the punishing. Now, when Donald Trump says that he's negotiating, this is what he's talking about. You know, why does he want to take Iran back to the Stone Age? Because that's where he's at. He's in the Stone Age. He's a Stone Age caveman, negotiating with fear and threats. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to bomb you into the Stone Age. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to put sanctions on you. I'm going to increase tariffs on you. I'm going to force you to do what I want. He's a sadistic monster. It makes you wonder what really would be on those Epstein files concerning Donald Trump. What kind of sadistic sexual predator was he? What did he really do to those little boys and little girls that's so terrible on the Epstein files? Next image, please. So this was from Sunday with prayer and fasting. We dealt with point number 8 of what the Muslims want. We want the government of the United States to exempt our people from all taxation, as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of the land, which of course is the Constitution that says black people are only 3/5 of a human being. So we can never get equal justice as long as the Constitution says what it says. So maybe that's what we should do, change the Constitution if we decide we want to be American citizens. Now, when do we ever give up our citizenship in Africa? When did we ever agree to be citizens of America? Somebody answer that question. When did we ever agree to be citizens of America? We never agreed. How can you force us to be citizens of your country when your Constitution only looks at me as 3/5 of a human being? I'm a 100% human being. I don't know about you. I'm 100%. And I will not pledge allegiance to a government that considers me to be 3/5 of a human being. That would mean I'm an animal, subhuman. I'm not an animal. I'm not Amalek. So I think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on to something. Exempt us from all taxation until we can get equal justice. And if we can't get equal justice, then let us take that tax money that we save, which is about 34% of our income, and we can build our own reality. We would be saving what? About $600 billion a year. Next image, please. Blacks have an income of $1.8 trillion a year. $1.8 trillion. And 34% of that goes in taxes, for which we get no benefit. And the average one of us, this is how much you pay in taxes during your lifetime. More than $500,000. So we need to stop doing that. Look what Iran is doing. They're demanding reparations for the damages that they have suffered. How are they getting their reparations? By charging a transit fee through the Strait of Hormuz? Yeah, you're going to pay us $2 million, and that's our reparations. And so we could do the same thing. We could just say to the U.S. government, okay, we know you're never going to pay us reparations, but we'll pay ourselves reparations by withholding the taxes that you otherwise would take from us. And that means in my lifetime, I would have an extra $500,000. Next image, please. Every year, I would be giving myself a 34% pay raise. What the Muslims want. Out of a $1.8 trillion income, if we just withheld our taxes, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we would have $600 billion to the good. Then we could buy a separate state or territory. See, we could buy a separate state or territory. We wouldn't have to fight anybody for it. We could just buy it. We could buy Detroit if that's what we want. We could buy Miami if that's what we want. Or we could go someplace else and buy what we want. If Jeffrey Epstein can buy an island, how come we couldn't buy an island? With $600 billion? Come on, now we could buy Australia. We could buy New Zealand. And we could drop the government. Because what would they do if they lost $600 billion all of a sudden? Just because we decided that. Just because we made up our mind that we were not going to support a government that does not support us. That will not even apologize for slavery. So why should we support them? You see? So again, the power is in our hands to liberate ourselves. But it's like my daddy told that story. He said the fox and the monkey were playing 7-Up. And the monkey won the money, but he was scared to pick it up. And so look at us. There's $600 billion a year on the table that we work for and earn. It's our money. But the fox and the monkey was playing 7-Up. And the monkey won the money, but he was scared to pick it up. He gave it right back to the fox. Next image, please. Scared. Want to be free, but scared. Financing the hereafter. How are we going to build all these 9 ministries, Dr. Alim? I just showed you how to do it. Honorable Elijah Muhammad showed you how to do it. So tax exemption is better than reparations. You don't have to fight anybody. You don't have to accept blood money. You just act on your own as an individual free man and woman, and hold on to what's yours. Next image, please. Just hold on to what's yours. So I think this is our last slide for the day. My son is farming the old Harriet Tubman farm on the eastern shore of Maryland, my son Kush. And so it's planting season. And so you see those dates up there in the right upper corner. These are work days, and he needs volunteers down on the farm. So this past Saturday, there was a work day on April the 4th. And you see up there next Sunday, there's another work day. And so if you're in the area and you want to help out, just take a screenshot so you can contact Kush, that's my son, and he'll give you the details of what's going on down on the farm. It's the very same farm that Harriet Tubman came from, down on the eastern shore. And it's been in the hands of a black family. I think the year is 1832, if I'm not mistaken, and somehow my son is down there farming it with a group of volunteers trying to provide food for the community. So I think that's our last image. And so that's our presentation for this evening. This has been the 19th Element. We talk about geostrategic issues, war and peace issues, economic issues, and we've been all over the map tonight. So maybe you have a comment or a question about something that was said. I guess we have a few minutes. It's just about 8 o'clock. So let's take a few minutes if there's someone whose hand is up and has a question or a comment.
Yes, sir, Dr. Ling. We do have a hand up. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Dawood. You have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Walaikum assalam and grand rising to the prayer fasting family. Assalamu alaikum, Doc.
Wa alaikum salam.
I was just sitting here, I'm following these developments closely, and, deep down in my heart, I feel like Iran as a strategic nation and as a strategic well, not enemy, a strategic nation. I really do believe inside my heart they got intercontinental ballistic missiles, something that'll reach America, but I think they ain't showed their hand all the way yet. Because the more I follow these developments and the more I watch, a lot of these content creators, we didn't have YouTube 20 years ago with the war in Iraq. But my question is, that's just what I feel in my heart about the intercontinental ballistic missiles. I think they got something that'll reach the eastern seaboard. And deep in my heart, I just think they haven't shown it yet. But I just wanted to ask you about, since you watch the geopolitics like you do and watch the news headlines, and you're pretty current, and I know you said Israel, your prediction is Israel will cease to exist. I just wanted to ask you, what are the predictions you got? Or that might have been recently revealed to you during all of this melee.
Okay, well, the first part of what you said concerning the possession of intercontinental ballistic missiles by Iran, just before I came on the broadcast this evening, I saw a story. I didn't have a chance to read all the details of it, but Russia, as you know, signed a little while back a strategic defense agreement with Iran. And according to this report that I just saw a few minutes ago, Russia has made available to Iran their most lethal missile, I think they call it the Sarmak, and in English is translated to the Satan II rocket, the Satan II rocket. And it's considered to be the most powerful intercontinental ballistic missile in existence. And it has a range, I believe, of something like 17,000 kilometers. So basically, it can hit any point on the earth. There's no place on the earth that this missile cannot hit. And it's the biggest and it's the baddest missile ever developed by anybody. So now, if that report is true, then Iran has been given command over that rocket by Russia as a deterrent to protect herself against, we talk about the Samson option. So Iran is looking at a crazy lunatic called Bibi Netanyahu with 300 nuclear bombs, and he might just launch them at Iran. So now with this Sarmat or Satan II rocket, you see that one rocket could destroy Israel in one hit. That's how powerful it is. It would destroy the entire nation of Israel in one hit. And of course, it could also hit any place in the United States. So think about it. The law of Islam says that retaliation is prescribed for you. Retaliation is prescribed for you. So if America and Israel are bombing the capital city of Iran, which is Tehran, well, the law of Islam and retaliation says then Iran should be bombing Washington, D.C. and Tel Aviv.
Yes, sir.
Well, they clearly are bombing Tel Aviv, but what about Washington? And people say, well, they didn't have a missile that could reach Washington. Well, if the reports that I just read are true, now they do. Now they do. So what kind of bomb shelter we have in Washington, D.C.? What kind of missile defense dome is protecting the citizens of Washington, D.C. or any other city in America? And I think America is waking up to the fact that Americans are waking up to the fact that you are extremely vulnerable. You can't protect yourself against any of these enemies that you have made for yourself all around the world. So we'll see what happens. Now, of course, even if Iran doesn't have an intercontinental ballistic missile, they have submarines, they have drones. Remember last year when they were seeing all these drones flying over New Jersey, and one congressman said that the Iranians were behind that. Said that the Iranians had a mothership off the east coast of America, flying drones all over America. And some of those drone sightings have come back during this recent war. They've had to shut down some military bases because they say unknown drones have appeared over these military bases inside the borders of America. So I think you're onto something. You see that America is vulnerable. So I think, for all practical purposes, see, my prediction that Israel will cease to exist this year. See, I would say, for all practical purposes, that prediction has already come true. It's already come true. You don't have any running water. You don't have any electricity. You don't have any physical safety from bombardment. Your economy has been destroyed. You don't have any food to eat. You can't escape. Your government has been destroyed. Hey, the country of Israel has ceased to exist as a safe haven for Jews. How safe is it for a Jew to be in Israel today? See, so all of the promises of Israel being a safe homeland for the Jews, all that's gone out the window. All that's been proven to be untrue. And so the nation of Israel no longer exists. I mean, my big question has been lingering for at least 2 or 3 weeks now. Where's Bibi Netanyahu? I mean, we talk about him like he's still alive. But where is he? Who's seen him? The last anybody saw him was a couple of fake AI videos. Where is he? I would presume he's dead, since he hasn't been out in the public. I mean, they make statements in his name, but you don't ever see him. Just like that last statement from Trump. I'm sure that wasn't from him. Who was it from? Who's really in charge? Who's really calling the shots? Who's making the decisions? So from all practical purposes, Israel no longer exists. And in a longer range fashion, think about America. Think about America. What condition is America in? You got a maniac in the White House. You got a bunch of brain dead zombies in Congress. You got an incompetent military. You got an economic system that's crumbling. You have civilian infrastructure that's crumbling, potholes in all your highways, your bridges falling down, your educational system decrepit. You have no industrial base anymore. You can't produce the food that your people need to eat. You can't employ all of your people. So for all intents and purposes, hasn't America ceased to exist? I mean, let you be the judge. Maybe America still works for you. Maybe America still works for some people. But for the majority of us, we could say America never worked for us. And it certainly doesn't work for us now. So if you look at it, behind the scenes, yes, the flag of America is still waving, the flag of Israel is still waving. But behind those behind those symbols of nationhood, does anything real exist? I don't think so. I think they're gone. So, so it's a little after 8. Do we have any? Maybe there's one more question or comment if there is one. But we're
actually, Dr. Lee, that is the last question.
Okay. Yeah, it's after 8 o'clock. So I think we've done our duty. We've informed you as we should, as we like to do, keep you up to date, to let you know what the threats are. So may Allah bless and keep you. And inshallah, we'll be back with prayer and fasting this coming Sunday and Monday, both times at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And then next week with the Your Immunity Project and the 19th Element at 7 p.m. Eastern time, as before. So thank you for being with us. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe if you're with us on YouTube, and do the same on Facebook and Zoom. So may Allah bless and keep us. May He guide us on His straight path. May He give us His mercy and forgiveness. May He not punish us if we forget or make a mistake, but grant us success and prosperity. We ask this in the name of Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. And we thank Him for coming, and we thank Him for His messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who gave us a way out of hell into paradise. So in their names, I offer the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, alaikum salam, and thank you for a beautiful broadcast, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
Ministries and the ministry heads, administer the medicine and wake up the dead. So let us attempt the uphill road. The book say what will make thee know is to free and slave body and mind. Give you my brothers, hunger is mine. To take care of widows and the fatherless child. To humbly pray and not be proud. Blessed being proud of being called by his name. We pray for his coming, glad he can. Call for the messenger, called to the same. Called by the minister who called again. Tonight he the call to live in sin. And feel the fire to link you in. But your agreement with hell won't stand. Do you even know what Elijah was saying? Justify and turn up the sound. You can believe it, listening now. I'm Minister God, teacher and friend. Let the world know we back again. The sun never set on the nation of gods. The moon and stars, all inside. Align with his mind and reclaim your power. And let that be the shock of the eye. Education, agriculture, science, technology, arts, and culture. Health, human services, justice, defense, information, spiritual development, trade and commerce. And of course, there's all types of different task forces coming together in the right kind of way. To execute a perfect overtime play. Coach the team and the kingdom to be. Two backing him up, we got three. I die daily in Christ's sin. Well, James can't get that out of his head. So seeking assistance, patience, and prayer. A double overtime type of plan. So justify and turn up the sound. You can believe it, listening now. I'm Minister God, teacher and friend. Let the world know we back again. The sun never set on the nation of gods. The moon and stars, all inside. Align with his mind and reclaim your power. And let that be the shock of the hour. Is he coming back to build his brother? When he said set yourself in heaven, said math is Islam, mystery wasn't, said I'll make perfect rulers of them. Now that sound like straight words to me, so I'm trying to be on some let's get free. And y'all thought this was just a management thing, but here's the reason Mike got 6 rings. Mike got rings, Mike got power, clutch performer, shock of the hour. It is what it is, young Mike can't lie. We play to win, they play to try, so we stay focused, build the nation. Negroes, devils, spectating the day. So I pray my plan and work my prayer, cause I'm a double overtime type of player. Now adjust the volume one last time. Rewind it back to check the rhyme. I'm Minister God, teacher and friend. Let the world know we back again. The sun never set on the nation of God. The moon and stars, all my sides. Align with his mind and reclaim the power. Let that be the shock of the hour. March, march, right, fall on a half step. To the rear march, to the rear march. That's all I wanted.
Okay, we are off the live. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you. Alaikum salam.